Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
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 Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma.
Bando Moi Sabadana Mate Bando Moi Sabadana Mate Jahara Prasande Vai Eva Vatoriya Jai Krishna Prati Krishna Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
नमस्ते हरिदास ठाकुर की
प्रेम से गौ श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री रुद्रदास श्री गौरव मंदिरी श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम की वृंदावन धाम की मायापुर नदी धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की हरिनाथ कीर्तन की कोकण प्रसाद मिष्टिभूषण की ग्रंथराज भागवतम की इस्कॉन कॉलोन की समवेत भक्तवृंद की all glories to Samil devotees. All glories to Samil devotees.
all glories to Samil devotees. all glories to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Prabhupada ki jai.
Shri Guru Vandana. mit großer Hochachtung und Aufmerksamkeit verbeuge ich mich daher vor seinem Loseswissen. Lieber Bruder, es ist nur seine Barmherzigkeit zu verdanken, dass und Shri Krishna Ramacandra. Mein einziger Wunsch ist, dass es mir gelingen möge, durch die Worte aus seinem Todesbuch meine Bewusstsein zu heilen. Ich gebe deine Anhaftung meine Lotosfüße, spricht der Meister, ist die Einzigkeit des Lebens. Durch seine Barmherzigkeit allein werden sämtliche Wünsche erfüllt. Erwerben wir das Geschenk transzentraler Sicht und offenbart mir göttliches Wissen in meinem Herzen. Es soll Geburt für Geburt mein Herr sein. Von ihm geht reine Liebe heraus und durch ihn wird alle Unwissenheit zerstört. Die vedische Schriften besingen seinen Charakter. O spiritueller Meister, du bist der Ozean der Barmherzigkeit, der Freude die Seele und Herr und Meister aller Menschen. O mein Meister, bitte sei mir barmherzig und lehre mir Schaden deiner Losfüße. Möge deine Herrlichkeit in alle drei Welten verkündet werden. Ich suche Zuflucht bei deinen Losfüßen. Srila Prabhupada,
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai!
Is this all the lines in the verse?
We should ask Sebastian.
Can you look up here?
Oh, yes.
Check if there is all the lines because it seems like one is missing. Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Sitaram Jayo Sitaram Sitaram Jayo You have it here somewhere?
Yes, it is in songbook.
Can you give it to me? So we'll sing a verse from Sri Dashavatara Stotra about Ramacandra. He's amongst the 10 incarnations that Jayadeva Goswami is describing. And can you set up the microphone maybe? Because devotees are listening on the internet, so hear more easily. Maybe it's not there. We find the words.
70 Ram.
Vihitava Hitra Charitrama Ke.
You want to sing the whole song? Or
Which page?
Yes, I found it, but you want to sing the whole Savatara?
You can say Jaya Keshava Drita, etc. You can just repeat the last line with me. I mean, if you have a lot of copies, you can also. Pralaya Payodi Jale Tritavana Siveda Vihitava Hitra Charitra Makeda Keshavadrita Vina Sharira Chayo Jagadisha Keshavadrita Minasharira Jayo Nagadisha Hare Jayo Nagadisha Hare Kshitiricha vipulatare Vishtatita vaprishte Dharani dharana kinachakragarishte Keshavadrita kurma sharira Jayo jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Kurma Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Rasati Dashana Shikare Dharanika Valagna Shashini Kalanka Kaleva Nimagna Keshavadrita Shukara Rupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Shukara Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Avakara Kamalavare Nakamaguta Shringa Galita Hiranya Kashipo Ranulinga Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Padanakandira Jana Pavana Keshavadrita Vamana Rupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jaya Kshatriya Hrihi Ramaye Jagadapagata Papam Snapayasi Payasi Shamutta Bhavatapam Keshavadita Brigupati Rupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Brigupati Rupa Jayo Jagadisha Ritarasi Vikshurani Dikpati Kamaniya Dashamukha Mauli Vali Ramaniya Keshavadrika Rama Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrika Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Vikarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Kamaniya Dashamukha Mauli Vali Ramaniya Keshavadrika Rama Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrika Rama Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrika Rama Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrika Rama Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Vahasi Vakushi Vishade Vasanam Jaladava Kalahati Viti Vita Yamunava Keshavadrika Khaladara Rupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrika Khaladara Rupa Jayo Nindasi Yadyavidev Aha Shruti Jatam Sadaya Hridaya Dashita Pashudatam Keshavadita Buddha Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Mechanivaha Nidane Kalhasi Karavalam Dumate Tumivaki Apikaralam Keshavadrita Kalki Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Kalki Sharira Jayo Jagadisha Hare Sri Jaya Deva Kabir Idamudita Mudara Sri Sukadam Shubhadam Bhavasaram Keshavadrika Dashavidarupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Dashavidarupa Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Jagadisha Hare Jayo Radhamadhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radhamadhava Kunja Bihari Bhupijanna Vallabha Girivaradhari Bhupijanna Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Rajajanna Ranjana Yashodanandana प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरिवर्धन की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय, नासिक धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, गोमती देवी की जय, तुलसी महाराज की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। Appearance day of Lord Ramacandra ki jai. Oh, glories to the seven devotees. Oh, glories to the seven devotees. Oh, glories to the seven devotees. Oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Oh, glories to His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravari Prachari Devi Shri Shishmavari Pashati. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 11, Text 25. Shri Badarayani Uvacha.
Shri Badarayani Uvacha.
Adadishad Digvijaye.
Adadishad Digvijaye.
Vratrim Stri Bhuvaneshvaraha.
Vratrim
darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Atadishad Digvijaye
Atadishad Digvijaye
Bratrim Stri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Bratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Atadishad Digvijaye
Atadishad Digvijaye
Ratrim Stri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Bratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Atadishad Digvijaye
Atadishad Digvijaye
Ratrim Shri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Atadishad Digvijaye
Atadishad Digvijaye
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Atadishad Digvijaye
Atadishad Digvijaye
Ratrim Shri Bhuvaneshwaram
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Atadishad Digvijaye
Atadishad Digvijaye
Ratrim Tribhuvaneshwarim
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Ladies please
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha Atadishad Digvijaye Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha Atmanam darshayan svanam Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha Atadishad Digvijaye
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Atadishad Digvijaye
Atadishad Digvijaye
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Ratrim Sri Bhuvaneshwaraha
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Atmanam darshayan svanam
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Purim aikshata sanugaha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Badaraya Niruvacha
Shri Shukadeva Goswami said
Shri Sukadeva Goswami said
Ata
Atha
Hereafter, when the Lord accepted the throne on the request of Bharata, Adishat ordered Dikvijaye to conquer all the world. Bharatrin, his younger brothers, Tribhuvanaishvaraha, the Lord of the universe, Atmanam, personally himself, Darshayan, giving audience, Svanam, to the family members and the citizens, Purim, the city, Aikshata, supervised, Saanugaha, with other assistants. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 11, Text 25, translation. Shukadev Goswami replied, after accepting the throne of the government by the fervent request of his younger brother Bharata, Lord Ramacandra ordered his younger brother to go out and conquer the entire world, while he personally remained in the capital to give audience to all the citizens and residents of the palace and supervise the governmental affairs with his other assistants. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not allow any of his devotees or assistants to be engaged in sense gratification. The younger brothers of Lord Ramacandra were at home enjoying the personal presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the Lord ordered them to go out and achieve victory all over the world. It was the custom, and this custom in some places is still current, that all other kings would have to accept the supremacy of the emperor. If the king of a small state did not accept the emperor's supremacy, there would be a fight, and the king of the small state would be obliged to accept the emperor as supreme. Otherwise, it would not be possible for the emperor to rule the country. Lord Ramacandra showed his favor to his brothers by ordering them to go out. Many of the Lord's devotees residing in Vrindavan have taken the vow not to leave Vrindavan to preach Krishna consciousness. But the Lord says that Krishna consciousness should be spread all over the world, in every village and every town. This is the open order of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pritivite achayata nagaradi grama sarvatra prachara haibe moranama. A pure devotee therefore must execute the order of the Lord and must not gratify his senses by remaining stagnant in one place, falsely proud, thinking that because he does not leave Vrindavan but chance in a solitary place, he has become a great devotee. A devotee must carry out the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yaredeka tarikaha Krishna upadesha. Every devotee therefore should spread Krishna consciousness by preaching, asking whomever he meets to accept the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says, Sarva dharmam parityajam amekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. This is the order of the Lord, who speaks as the Supreme Emperor. Everyone should be induced to accept this order, for this is victory, Digvijaya. And it is the duty of the soldier, the devotee, to impress upon everyone this philosophy of life. Of course, those who are Kanishta Adhikaris do not preach, but the Lord shows mercy to them also, as he did by staying personally in Ayodhya to give audience to the people in general. One should not mistakenly think that the Lord asked his younger brothers to leave Ayodhya because he especially favored the citizens. The Lord is merciful to everyone, and he knows how to show his favor to each individual person according to his capacity. One who abides by the order of the Lord is a pure devotee. Shri Badarani Ruvacha Atadishat Digvijaye Bratrim Stri Bhuvaneshvaraha Atmanam darshayan svanam purim aikshata sanugaha. Shukadev Goswami replied, after accepting the throne, After accepting the throne of the government by the fervent request of his younger brother Bharata, Lord Ramacandra ordered his younger brothers to go out and conquer the entire world, while he personally remained in the capital to give audience to all the citizens and residents of the palace and supervise the governmental affairs with his other assistants. So in the ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have two chapters, chapter 10 and chapter 11, describing the pastimes of Lord Ramacandra and the rule of Lord Ramacandra, his kingship, his service as a king. So these two chapters, we can say, are the summary of Ramayana, the great epic written by Valmiki. And in the Ramayana we find so many stories and so many situations and moral instructions and practical instructions. And Shukadev Goswami has summarized all this and spoken to Maharaj Parikshit. And you can read these two chapters, and you can read how Lord Ramacandra was banished to the forest because of the promise his father Dasharat gave to one of his wives, Kaikeyi. You can read how dutiful Lord Ramacandra was to actually follow the order of his father. And Lord Ramacandra has appeared to show how to be an ideal husband and also ideal king or administrator. He was also an ideal son, we might say. So today we want to focus on two verses, verse 25 and verse 26, which describe how he was ruling. And even today, politicians in India, they aspire to create Rama Rajya, or kingdom which resembles the kingdom of Lord Ram when he was in charge, when he was the king of the country. So Lord Ramacandra is the saintly king. He's a saintly king. He's a perfect leader. And Raja Rishi is the name of a saintly king. He is both the king and also the sage. Rishi means the sage, and Raja means the king. So he has both Brahminical and Kshatriya qualities. I'm sorry, just something is stuck in my throat. So now we see that when Ramacandra was banished, then Bharata, who was his brother, he actually was selected, he was chosen as a king because his mother, Kaikeyi, was insisting that he becomes a king instead of Ramacandra. But he was so embarrassed to be a king that he was sleeping on the floor, he was living very austerely, he didn't enjoy the kingly opulence. And he couldn't wait that Lord Ramacandra comes back from his exile. And when he came back, he immediately offered him a position of king. He wanted to enthrone him. But now, So when Lord Ramacandra came back, everybody was so happy. They were enjoying his presence because they missed him so much. But he didn't allow them to remain in the comfort zone. He didn't allow them to remain at the palace, but he actually asked them to go out and do their duty. Digvijaya means to conquer all kingdoms that are not surrendered to the emperor of the world. And this is a wonderful example how a leader helps people to actually get out of their comfort zone. Just like today, nowadays, the President of the United States, he said, oh, there will be difficult times, difficult days next few weeks, or maybe next few months. And now people have stopped working, and this will be influencing the economy, world economy, so there will be difficulties. And like in India, so many people are going back to villages from New Delhi because they have lost their jobs and they try to survive in the village with their families, and they also have a difficulty transporting themselves to there, so government provides some buses, but it's not enough. And so some people are struggling, some families are struggling, older people, so some people just try to walk out of Delhi to the village, but it's a long walk. It's many kilometers. So difficulties are manifesting on these planets, and the leader has to somehow support people and encourage people, and he has to show some practical support also. So Lord Ramacandra, being an exemplary king, he didn't allow his brothers to just enjoy the life in the palace or even enjoy his association. So similarly, we may be enjoying Krishna consciousness because we have gotten so much mercy, but Srila Prabhupada wants us to preach and to reach out to other people. We don't just, okay, now we cannot move so much, but even nowadays devotees go out. Bhaktavedra was telling me how he's distributing books. He's here. Bhaktavedra is here. He's staying with Bhakta Niklas, and I think both of them distribute books. And so now we have internet also, we can preach from here, but we reach out to people from here or support devotees from here. We can do that too, but it's not that we just enjoy temple life, worshipping the Lord, prasadam. But Srila Prabhupada wanted everyone to go out. Therefore he created book distribution, he created festivals, he created programs. So Lord Ramacandra was showing by example how to actually ask those who have gotten the mercy to actually share the mercy, not just take it for yourself, but share with others. And Srila Prabhupada says here that who doesn't preach? Kanishtadikari. This is the lowest level of devotional service. There is Kanishtadikari, Madhyamadikari and Uttamadikari. And Kanishtadikari is the lowest level. So now Srila Prabhupada says that the Lord also shows mercy to Kanishtadikaris, and he tries to elevate them to the level of Madhyamadikari. Madhyamadikari is a middle level, and that means one who actually makes distinctions between demons and devotees, and envious, non-envious, and he is showing compassion to people, ignorant people, and trying to give them Krishna consciousness. So one has to be elevated at least to the Madhyama level. And it is said that Lord Ramacandra showed his favor to his brothers by pushing them to go out. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada showed his favor to us by telling them go out and spread Krishna consciousness, distribute his books. So from the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada actually taught us, from the very beginning, he taught us to share Krishna consciousness and to be a giving person, to be selfless. And maybe we had this idea of spiritual life that we should go to the mountains, in the cave or somewhere to meditate, to be alone, far away from the world. But Srila Prabhupada smashed these concepts to pieces, and Bhagavatam smashed these ideas to pieces also. And it is said that one should go to very, very, how you say, inhabited places, places where many, many people live, and give them Krishna consciousness. And it's not easy because people don't want Krishna consciousness. But some people want. It's just, it doesn't work. So people, we don't accept that people don't want Krishna consciousness. We think that people want Krishna consciousness, but they don't know they want it. So therefore our duty is to inspire them and to actually is to try to give them Krishna consciousness in one way or the other. And we try to create many attractive ways, and one of such attractive ways is festivals. And today, because of this situation, we didn't invite so many people. And around the world, I think also devotees are careful with festivals because big gatherings are forbidden. But at least online people can follow and they can be present and they can have darshan. So, Lord Ramacandra, as soon as he became a king, he kicked out his brothers. So it's very nice. Immediately he gave them a job to do something. This is the duty of a leader and a preacher, to actually help people to do something. Help people to do something. And every devotee, as we are discussing in our preacher training, there is Prabhupada's statements that every devotee should preach. Not that only a couple of senior devotees preach. Every devotee should take a responsibility. Every devotee should become a guru. But one has to become qualified to become a guru. It's not enough just to have ambition or a desire to become respected as a speaker or something, a preacher, a great saintly person, but to become qualified. And Lord Chaitanya said, on my order, go out and preach Krishna consciousness. In any way you can. In one purport, Srila Prabhupada says, according to your capacity. In any way you can. So you can think about what kind of preaching you like to do. Of course, supporting preaching is also highly valuable, to manage things and to organize things. But whenever there is an opportunity to inspire people to preach to people, one should take this opportunity. Now, in the next verse, it is said, Asikta margam gandodaihi karinam madashikarahi swaminam praptamalokya matam va sutaramiva. During the reign of Lord Ramacandra, the streets of the capital, Ayodhya, were sprinkled with perfumed water and drops of perfumed liquor thrown about by elephants from their trunks. When the citizens saw the Lord personally supervising the affairs of the city in such opulence, they appreciated this opulence very much. So when there is a good leader, then everybody flourishes, and the atmosphere is good, and everything is nicely managed and clean. So Lord Ramacandra was personally supervising the affairs of the state, personally supervising. It doesn't mean he was micromanaging. Sometimes leaders want to manage every single detail. Sri Prabhupada says he was not a sleeping monarch. He immediately sent his brothers outside. Again, it is said here. Now, citizens were given facilities for peaceful life, and they were organized according to Varnashram system. 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. This is the duty of a Rajarshi or a saintly king, to organize people according to social orders and spiritual orders. So, Shudra Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Because in this way people are engaged. And the goal of the Varnashrama is to please Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, to please Hari, or Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now what else King is doing, and what else Lord Ramacandra has done, he has performed sacrifices. Maharaj Prithu also has organized for sacrifices, and nowadays the leaders should organize mass glorification of the Lord through Sankirtan Yagya, or chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So the king knows, the spiritual leader knows that sacrifices will please the Lord, and it will bring all spiritual and material benedictions to the citizens. So Lord Ramacandra was like a caring father. He was caring for each and every citizen, not only for human beings, but also for animals. And he arranged that everybody is taken care of. So how present leaders can take care of people? How can present leaders protect people? For example, they cannot protect people from their karma because they have not organized yagya. They have not organized yagya. And they are still allowing slaughtering of the cows. So this is Srila Prabhupada in the first canto. He has given the whole program how to reform the society, to introduce Ekadashi for everybody, obligatory Ekadashi, to close slaughterhouses, brothels, gambling places, places of intoxication. Srila Prabhupada explains that in India they forbade alcohol, but people started selling illegally. So then the government decided that they will produce alcohol. So that actually they were leaving taxes for alcohol, for selling of alcohol, but people were selling illegally. So the government realized, oh, better we make money actually by selling alcohol, better than it becomes illegal. So this is a weak government. They didn't persist in implementing the principle of stopping the sinful activity. And in the Ramaraja, or kingdom of Lord Ramacandra, this was actually not happening. He was strict with those who would break the law. In his kingdom there was no taking intoxication. So everybody was trained in Varnashram Dharma. The entire monarchy was opulent and peaceful. And the government, they could sprinkle the streets with actually perfumed water. They had so much perfume. So it was opulent in all respects. So there is description about this opulence. You can read here in this, if you have time today, how it was decorated. Now, there is something else. So people didn't transgress religious principles, they didn't break religious principles. Now, what else he has done? Actually, he did something that very few leaders do. He went incognito amongst people to see what they are speaking about him. And he took the feedback. One guy was complaining because his wife was not chaste. She cheated on him. And then he said, oh yes, also Ramachandra's wife went to another man's house because Ravana kidnapped her. And then immediately, Lord Ramachandra, he sent Sita to Valmiki's ashrama, although she was pregnant. And devotees have inquired why he did that. And I have the answers to these questions in an article, and I will tell you, if not today, then I will tell you tomorrow. I had to read that, I didn't have time to read it, this article, why he banished Sita. That's a very important question. Everybody is like wondering why he did that. He did that. Now it is explained that actually Ravana couldn't kidnap Sita. This was Maya Sita, and but it was a pastime to show the glories of the Lord, to show the supremacy of the Lord, to show the mentality of the demon, how he wants to enjoy Lord's energy, Lord's pleasure potency, which is represented by Sita. So it's amazing how he reacted to the feedback that he got from the citizens. He actually took it so seriously that he sent away his own wife. And then she gave birth to Lava and Kusha, who were twins, twin brothers. So he was acting as an exemplary king, an exemplary leader, and he would take people seriously. It would be interesting to understand this explanation, why he has done this, because it sounds like a very cruel thing, and Sita was perfect completely. So, you know, we will speak about that. And another thing that he has done, it's in the previous chapter, is text 11. So I will read the text 11 from the previous chapter. It's called, previous chapter is called The Pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. Rakshodamena vrikavad vipine samaksham Vaideha raja dukhitarya paya pitayam Bratravane prikanavat priyaya viyukta Strisanginam gatim iti pratyamshachara. When Ramachandra entered the forest and Lakshman was also absent, the worst of the Rakshasas, Ravana, kidnapped Sita Devi, the daughter of the king of Videha, just as a tiger seizes unprotected sheep when the shepherd is absent. Then Lord Ramachandra wandered in the forest with his brother Lakshman, as if very much distressed due to separation from his wife. Thus he showed by his personal example the condition of a person attached to women. So Lord Ramacandra was banished by his father, but he took with him his wife. So this attachment is described as troublesome, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead has shown by his personal example how troublesome is being attached to a woman, to his wife. Now, because the Lord is transcendental, his separation from his wife is not material, but he was just showing by example for the conditioned souls. His separation from his wife is called Vipralamba. And Vipralamba is the highest form of worshipping the Lord in separation, and we have an opportunity to worship the Lord in separation. Because we cannot see him. So this Vipralamba Bhava is connected with the pleasure potency of the Lord, Hladini Shakti, and it's not like the ordinary. It's not like the ordinary separation that the man who is attached to a woman feels. It's transcendental. So everything in this world is a replica or a copy of something that is happening in the spiritual world, and this what is happening in the spiritual world has transcendental nature. It has transcendental nature. So this is based on the spiritual potency. For Ravana was actually impossible to take away Sita. The form of Sita that was taken by Ravana was an illusory representation of Mother Sita. And when Sita was tested in the fire, then the real Sita came out, and that false Sita was burned. And then Srila Prabhupada explains that this is an example how a woman should be protected always. When she is young, she should be protected by her father. When she grows up, she should be protected by her husband, and later she should be protected by her children or by her sons, by her older sons. So Sita was also protected like this, first by her father. This is an example we see also from this pastime of the Lord. So thank you very much for listening. And do you have any questions about Lord Ramacandra, his appearance and his pastimes? Yes?
So he told that by attracting to woman Lord Ramacandra, when Sita disappeared from him, Lord Ramacandra faced the separation. But it is quite common that the woman when a woman married to one man, she will leave her home, parents, or brothers and sisters. She will go to the husband's house to serve him, not only serve him, only his family, everything. She mainly sacrificed many things. At that time, if she disappear or someone kidnap, then how a husband do not feel like that? Definitely husband feel, oh, my wife kidnapped or something. So how we can think that this is the Maya or something like that?
You want to say that it's natural?
Yeah, it's quite natural
to feel like this.
Yes.
If you are just human, you feel what to speak of being a devotee. Well, I think this is just illustration or an example that about this attachment that is there between conditioned souls. And of course it's natural that one feels affection for somebody who is close to them. And Lord Ramacandra took action and he actually rescued Sita. He took action for this. So it says that this shows a condition of a man who is attached. So he felt very sad, very sorry that she was taken away. He felt lonely. He was wandering, and he looked exactly like a conditioned soul who loses somebody, loses a woman he loves, for example. Very dejected. Sometimes they commit suicide. But immediately Srila Prabhupada explained to the purport of this verse that his actually feeling of separation was not material, but he acted as if he is conditioned. So liberated souls come, or incarnations of the Lord, or the Lord himself come, and they play the part as if they are human beings. And then they act sometimes in such a way, as if they are attached. And the Lord, we know that the Lord is supremely detached, because he doesn't need anything. He's Atmarama, he's self-satisfied. But because of his pastimes, because he wants to enjoy, then he has many energies, and these energies manifest as different personalities also. So Sita is his internal potency. And I'm not such a high level to explain this, I must admit. So you have to maybe ask some devotees who have more understanding or realization or have read Ramayana. But maybe this article that I have can give some answers about this, because it describes the whole thing. Why he asked her. No, why he asked her actually to leave. That was another thing. Maybe there is also something in relation to this in this article. And then there is this Prabhu, Krishna Dharma Prabhu, who actually presented the Ramayana and Mahabharata. Krishna Dharma Prabhu from England. So maybe we can ask him about this, because your question, I think, is appropriate. Your question is appropriate. That it's natural that you feel something when your wife is kidnapped. I mean, you cannot be just cold, and you think you are transcendental because you are cold. It would be really strange if one would not feel anything. So, if anybody wants to actually comment on this, yes? Maybe you have a better answer.
Comment is too much for me, but it's a question maybe, because while I was also in exile this week at home, not my flat, I got a message from my god sister, Chaitanya Lila Dasi, and she sent me a picture of Sita being in this exile, yes, and she wrote me, so please, you should be so tolerant and so patient with Sita. And this is an example. There are many wonderful women examples in the Shastras. Königin Kunti, or Queen Kunti, we know, Devahuti. And this, for us, all these two Zitas, or I don't know, how to say it correctly, two Zitas, Sita and the other is Galagram Zita. Yes, to understand, to use these qualities, to see the qualities of these exemplary women or other personages of the Shastras, because they all are embodied energies of God, yes, of Sri Krishna. And when we are reading it, that is most important thing to know that. Not to think that, this lila, that lila, ecstasy, I'm sorry, or something like that. That is to try to be like them. to try to be like them, try to not to copy, but that means to develop our character. Because if we don't have character, firstly achar and then prachar, we can't preach. So that's, for me, Sita is this example. And Devahuti I love her with all my soul. I don't know why, I feel some special inclination to her. Yes, not only the women, certainly we know Vidura, but it's a long question. So thank you so much. I'm sorry, maybe it was too long. But that is what I feel.
Okay, thank you. It's okay. No. I mean, we can ask, is Krishna attached to Radharani? What do you think? I mean, she's his energy, but is he attached to her?
Yes.
Yeah? Yes? No? Yes? I mean, do you know from the lectures and from the scriptures, is Krishna attached to Radharani?
He created her from his left side, when he wanted to enjoy.
So Krishna can be attached and he can be detached at the same time. If he is attached, this is not material attachment. But I heard Krishna cries sometimes because of Radharani, isn't it? You know some example?
Radharani is crying more often.
She's crying more. But okay, we know that. But it's interesting if Krishna is crying. I mean, that's, to me, it's like more rare. So do you know any story or example when Krishna was crying? I know one example when Krishna was defeated, when he didn't manage to satisfy Radharani. That's rare, but it happened. Once he wrote a poem about Radharani and compared her to the moon or something, and he read it to her, but she didn't like it and she walked away. So that's very, very sweet. You imagine, Supreme Personality of Godhead, controller of everything, everybody's worshipping, he's sitting completely defeated and confused. What happened? I did my best. I was so sincere, but my beloved, she didn't like it. So I think Lord Ramacandra is attached to Sita, but his attachment is not material. But he was acting as if he is a conditioned soul. And he was showing us, who are conditioned souls, not to get attached, either man to woman or woman to man, because it's temporary. It's temporary. You can get attached to a person who is eternal, but if you are attached to somebody who will die, or you are attached to their form, but their form will dissolve, become dust. So you are just setting yourself up for suffering or for failure if you get attached to somebody's form. But if you're attached to the soul, that's spiritual attachment. So now we are getting a little bit more explanation according to my limited realization and understanding. But this attachment is not material, but he is acting as if it is. So to give us a message, don't get. And of course you can say, well, I know I shouldn't get attached, but I still get attached. So I fall in love with somebody, and maybe from previous life you know someone, then you have this attachment for previous life, so you can, when you see them again, you cannot resist. And people are so romantic about this. They look at the astrology and they say, wow, we knew each other from previous life. And I wrote one non-romantic Facebook post about this. Oh, astrology told us we were together in a previous life. And now we met again and we fight again. So we had to finish our fight, because we didn't finish our fight for the previous life. We fought, then we separated, bitter, and I'm going to revenge. And now in this life we met, but now because we are devotees, Guru asked us to cooperate and to put Krishna in the center, so, you know, maybe we will fight less. When people meet each other from previous lives, according to astrology, I don't know if it's true, they become very romantic and they think it's so sweet, you know, we met each other, but then after some time they start to fight again. And they don't know that they have been fighting for many lifetimes. And now, but you can stop fighting only if you put Krishna in the center, really. Not just put Krishna in the center just by speaking, but by actually putting Krishna in the center, then you don't have to fight. Because you have the common goal. Okay, so I will read this article, and next time I speak, maybe I don't know, tomorrow or something, the day after tomorrow, I will explain to you what I have learned, why he actually asked Sita to leave. She was pregnant. It sounds so cruel. But she went to Valmiki. I mean, Valmiki was a Muni. He went to her ashram. But anyway, she was, you know, she's a queen. So how he could do that? He did this because of his citizens. He did this because they are feedback. Because they said, oh, his wife is not chaste. So he immediately reacted. But I'll let you know, it's an interesting point. Somebody raised that question. Okay, any other question or comment? Yeah?
I see only one word, because maybe it could be an answer. It's a very simple answer. Maybe everybody knows it. Maybe it's not new. But to understand, you were speaking about the material feelings and transcendental feelings or perception. Yeah. So when we are reading such books just like Ramayana or Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can understand difference. We have these examples to understand difference, to differ in ourselves, difference between our spiritual, transcendental feelings and material feelings. And certainly we're not, me for example, just. But we, again, to strive to get rid of all these material terrible things, and to come to the transcendence, to understand what we have, what feelings we are, what you have said, and they have begun to fight again and fighting, yes. But to understand what we are, why we're here, to come back home means to get to involve us in our transcendental feelings, to understand why we're here, to know this difference, to know this gap. And so maybe this can be an answer somehow, because that's why we are reading the scriptures to understand. So who we are, and so what should we be to come back.
I don't understand how this is related to the question why he banished Sita.
Yes. No. I mean Vinimadava's
you are
question.
speaking about what he asked.
Only this.
Okay, so you have heard also her comment about
but
this?
I'm sorry, I'm not such an advanced person. But what I could say.
Okay, anything else? Yes?
Yeah, maybe I have a question about the preaching, and I was thinking that, as usual, when you are preaching, as a person, as one in front of you, as a rule, it has another opinion, and it is very difficult to change the opinion of other people. So maybe some life hacks or something like that, and can you give and what not to do when you try to change the other opinion?
What not to do and what to do?
No.
You always ask good questions. I'm not sure what not to do, but I can try to say what I think could be done. Actually, Prabhupada defeated everybody with common sense. So if you can explain something in common sense, but for some people even common sense, they don't understand. So they are just covered too much. But if you can explain to examples that they can understand, and explain to some down-to-earth examples. Srila Prabhupada always gives different examples from the material world. He says, just like this, just like there is a sunshine, and there is a sun rays, and there is a sun globe or sun planet. So he would explain about Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Or he gives a lot of analogies. I mean, I have these analogies in one place. It's analogies. Like, what is analogy in German or in Russian?
Analog, in Russian, analog.
You understand what is analogy?
Yes.
Yeah. So these different analogies, you can tell a story to that person to explain a point. So you're not, maybe you don't try just to defeat their point, but you try to give a broader picture. And then they see, if you just broaden their perception a little bit more, that's your success of preaching. Because you cannot immediately convince them. They are convinced about what they think. They have, as you say, they have opinion, and they are very attached to their opinion. Because very few people will approach humbly and just ask for enlightenment and knowledge. They compare what they know with what you say, and they even sometimes want to fight and defeat you. So, but if you explain something that is very clearly common sense, you paint a picture or tell a story or something like that, then you broaden their understanding. They start to scratch. There is something else. I was thinking it's like this, but actually it's like this. You understand?
Yes.
So something like that you could try. Yeah.
Did the brothers of Rama, Lord Ram, do this? Did they use first common sense and try to broaden the picture for the little kings, and then use force?
I don't know. It's probably Ramayana what they have done. Details of what they have done. I only know what is here. I didn't read Ramayana, so you have to.
Okay, I asked differently. What is the what do we get out of this verse then? What is like really what does it show us something? Like, because they just conquer other kingdoms and it sounds very forceful and like, why do they do it? Is there any something behind this analogy in this text? Is it even an analogy?
That's an interesting question. It was just, I think it was, actually, the force was allowed to be used for a saintly king. Nowadays, those who are not saintly, they use force to conquer those who are weak. Like on this planet, there is, British rule, there is French rule, America is trying to dominate the whole world, I don't know, Russia is also trying something. So, the force was good because the king was good. In that sense, we can say that because the king would actually impose spiritual values and spiritual principles. So some kings maybe wanted to have their kingdom a little bit, like this or like that. Like for example, if in ISKCON the governance or the leadership is weak, so in some temples people start to wear a beard and once they started to wear black, then they put Jesus on the altar, they start to do all kinds of things. So if the leaders are not strong, then people will do all kinds of things. So similarly, if you have the smaller kings, they may start to do this or that, or start to introduce more central education, sinful central education. So the Rajarshi, the duty of Rajarshi was actually to use force and to, protect other people from sinful activities, and to punish those who want to implement this. And we see that Maharaj Parikshit took a knife, took a sword, and to punish Kali. But because Kali Yuga was coming, then he had to give some space for these sinful activities. He couldn't just completely stop them, because this is the age of degradation, and this is how it goes. Every age is more degraded. Satya, Treta, Dvapara, Kali. It was meant to be like this. But Maharaj Parikshit was actually acting as a real Kshatriya, real saintly king, to protect the religious principles. So force is allowed to be used when you have to protect religious principles. Okay? Thank you very much. Lord Ramacandra ki jai. Ramacandra Appearance Day ki jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai.